we are going to look at just the next couple gates that the sun is going to be moving through the rest of 2022 and into 2023, just to help give you a better, I guess, primer for the upcoming year and what it is you want to be creating. Human design reveals who you are energetically and who you came here to be. I'm Dana, human design specialist.
And I'm Haley, the human design newbie. Listen in as we explore how leaning into your authentic self is your ultimate path to success. Welcome to the Human Design High podcast. Let's get into it.
Hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm your host, Dana Phillips, and I'm so glad you're taking the time today to listen to me. Wow, can't believe it's already the end of 2022. And as what always happens, I think this time of year, things just kind of start rapidly moving as soon as we clear, here in the United States at least, clear the Thanksgiving holiday. Sorry if I sound a little froggy. It's gotten colder and drier. Even here in South Carolina, it's got colder and drier. So I'm trying to keep my throat a little lubricated. But anyways, so as I said, things really start to accelerate and we kind of go on autopilot, I think, this time of year, where especially if you're a little bit older, I don't even know if that's fair, but what I want to say is we all have our traditions, we all have our obligations and all the things that we need to do. And so I think we kind of go on autopilot at the holiday season because there's just so much to do and so much to think about. And on that note, this is going to be the last podcast of the year of 2022. And I'll come back to that in a second. But what I wanted to finish my thought is we tend to just go on autopilot. We don't really tend to take care of ourselves, especially as women. We tend to put everybody else's needs ahead of our own. And we also tend to, I think, really not take any time or space to think about or to contemplate how it is we want to finish the year and what it is we want to call in the beginning of the year. Now, I know you're going to say, well, that's not true because we have our New Year's resolutions and all that stuff. Well, yes, that's true. But one thing that I learned last year and came to my attention is about the whole New Year's resolution and how everybody thinks that this is a time to wrap everything up and start over again. Now, if you're looking at the calendar year, yes, that is what happens. We tend to want to rush through the end of this year and have it done with, especially the last couple of years have been a little difficult for all of us. And so we tend to just want to get it over with so we can start over fresh and clean. But what I learned last year, and as I started studying human design beyond the just personality parts of it, but more towards the transits and how the system actually works and is this living dynamic thing every day, because the planets, the cosmos and everything around us is dynamic, is that at this time every year, we are moving through the same sun and earth gates. Now, everything else in the chart is going to be different because of, they all have different cycles. But as far as the sun and the earth cycle goes, because wherever the sun is in the chart, the earth is directly opposite of it on the mandala. Around the same time every year, because we have this 365-day year with our sun, they're going to be roughly in the same gates around the same time of year. There might be some fluctuations, but this is the gist of it. And so that's what I want to look at today, is what is going to be happening through the end of this year and into the very first part of January, because it's really a different take on things. It's not a let's hurry up and get over with this year so we can start over brand new. Actually, in the human design terms, the new human design year starts in late January. In 2023, January 22nd to be precise, it'll start in gate 41. So we're going to be looking at these gates for the end of 22 and kind of what the themes are. These are the sun gates. Sorry, we're not going to look at the whole chart. This isn't a entire transits episode, although that does bring me to things I want to talk about in 2023. But let me finish this thought because I do tend to jump around. I understand that. We're going to look at where the sun gates are going to be in the next, say, week or two, 10 days, 2 weeks. We are going to look at just the next couple gates that the sun is going to be moving through the rest of 2022 and into 2023, just to help give you a better, I guess, primer for the upcoming year and what it is you want to be creating. And so back to my thought about 2023. So as I said, this is going to be the last podcast of the year. I'm kind of gathering and doing my own process here with some of these gates and doing my own contemplations. Plus, just like everybody else, I've got all the holiday things going on. And I really have started planning things for 2023 that I'm very excited about. And one of them is I'm going to be bringing guests on. Now, Haley is still my ride or die podcast host, but she has had a lot going on in her life, as we know. And it can be more challenging into 2023 to record together, but we are dedicated to doing that because she still very much wants to be a part of this podcast and be a part of this community that we're building around learning about human design and about ourselves and how to really align ourselves to the truest, best version of ourselves. And so it could get more challenging because she is moving to a different time zone, but thank God we have technology that can help bridge that gap. So anyways, that's, we're still going to be recording together. She may not be on every episode, but she will still be here with you learning as we go. And I also have some guests that I'm going to be bringing onto the podcast that have their work to share with you, their experiences to share with you. And I'm just really excited to introduce some of these people to you. Some of them are good friends of mine. Some of them I've just recently met and want to really get to know what they do, but also one reason to bring guests on for me is to, again, help us learn about human design. And some of these people will be people that I know that are really aligned in their design, even if they don't know about human design. It just shows you how when you are aligned to the truest version of yourself and what's appropriate for you, and you're doing things that are authentic to you, how your life just kind of, that monopole just points you in the right direction and you start living and expressing your design the way you're intended to. So I'm very excited to bring a couple guests on, also people that are working with human design. So that's one part of it. And then I also am kind of in talks with a good friend of mine who is just a beautiful soul who really has a deep understanding for astrology, which I am not as versed in that. I've always had an interest in astrology, but it's the actual just astrology part of it is not my strong suit. I don't want to say strong suit. I find it fascinating and I love it and I use it as well, but I don't feel that I have a solid enough foundation in it. Hello, line one, to bring it to you. I feel that the human design aspect, which with the astrology mixed in, is my strong suit, but my friend is really, and she has an understanding of human design that is just her own unique, beautiful, intuitive way of understanding. We're learning together as we go. And I hope to be able to bring her in to actually do some transit episodes for you guys so that you can look forward in your month to know what's happening out there in the celestial weather. And it's not so much prediction points, because I know that there's this perception around astrology that it's all about prediction. And then if the predictions don't work out, oh, well, because it's all general. I hear people talking about all the time. It's really I think I use this transit information, and to know what's happening in the cosmos, because whether you believe it or not, I believe that what is happening, we've talked about before, as above, so below. And so I believe that we are affected by the shifting of these huge celestial bodies, and it affects us, and it affects everybody on the planet. And if there are certain energies that are affecting everybody in your family, in your community, at your work, globally, I think it makes it a lot easier to navigate life. You give people a lot more grace, give yourself a lot more grace, and can be open and available to the lessons that it's bringing you, so that you can start to move through them with a little more ease. So hopefully, I don't know if it'll be next month in January, but maybe in February, we can start doing that. Okay, so now we've talked about what's coming up. So let's talk about the immediate, what's coming up. So as I'm recording this, we will be currently in gate 11. The sun will be in gate 11. And gate 11 is in the I Ching is the gate of peace. It's the traditional human design. It's the gate of ideas. And in quantum, it is the conceptualist. And so we're not going to spend too much time here, but this is, as it says, the gate of ideas. It's the gate of, really, if you have this energy in your chart, it means you are a conduit and a steward of ideas. Gate 11 is in the ajna. It reaches down to the throat. And so it is a way of processing mental energy in the form of ideas, the inspiration that comes from the head, and bringing those ideas forward. And if you have this gate, it means that you are kind of a steward of these ideas. Not all the ideas you receive are yours. They could be intended for other people. And it's a good idea to get in the practice of, if you have this gate activated, of maybe keeping in a little idea journal so that you can write them down. And then you may come across people that that this idea would be great for them. Or if it is your idea, you'll know, if you're using your strategy and authority, what is the right time in order to act on those ideas. But as I said, this is the sun energy that's present right now, and it will be moving out. But that means that maybe if you don't have it activated in your chart, this may have been a really creative feeling time for you of having all these great ideas. And I know for myself, things have been popping. As I said, you can hear things I've been thinking of myself, but I've just been keeping track of them, writing them down. Sometimes they're necessary for me. Sometimes they're just things floating through. So the gate of ideas there. And as this energy moves out, because this moves out of gate 11 on the 20th, we'll move into the new gate. So if you are experiencing this energy still as you're listening to this, then just kind of contemplate, when you have these creative ideas that come up, do you always try to act on them? Do you feel pressure to try to put them into form? Or can you just experiment with holding on to them? And if these are your ideas, do you trust divine timing and the universe enough to use your strategy and authority to know when the time is right? Can you just be a steward for these ideas and just hold on to them and allow the universe to show you who, when, and where? Okay. On December 20th, the sun's going to be moving into the gate 10, which gate 10 in traditional human design is known as the love of self. Quantum human design, self-love, same thing. In the I Ching, it's called the gate of treading. And this really is all about love of the self. And it's about learning to love yourself and your authentic self, like who it is you really are. To see yourself, to love yourself, accept yourself. It's about being able to see your love for yourself as your true power. This is loving self-acceptance. And gate 10 is in the G center. of course. So it is about identity, self, and love. And it's interesting if you look at traditional human design, it'll say that this really is an important gate and it's important, well, for many reasons. They're all important. But as we move forward, now remember, human design was delivered in the last century, which is crazy to say that, but because I'm a lifetime that has bridged both centuries, as I'm sure many of you out there are. But this gate has been said to be really important as we move forward in our human evolution, because so much of our past as human beings has been really more of this tribal energy of having to the individual not having that autonomy to be able to self-determine. There has not been really an emphasis on self-awareness, and this gate is really about embracing that energy, because this is really going to deeply impact us as we move forward. And it's really a lot about what we talk about here is being your authentic self and doing what your heart calls you to do. This is really in the heart chakra space. This gate 10 is what's best for those around you and for the planet, for the world. Because if we're all encoded with a special purpose and we all come from the same place, from the same universal source, that being whatever you want to call it, God, love, whatever you want to call it. If we're all part of that and we're all encoded with pieces of that, doesn't it make sense that we as individuals discovering this love for ourselves and being our authentic selves, our authentic expression of that piece of divine or love is what's best for everybody? Because in this gate, it says awakening is not possible without loving the self. And as you accept, know, and love yourself, you empower others to do the same. This is how it deeply impacts those around you. So the challenge here is to learn to love yourself and to learn to take responsibility for your own creations as a result of the level to which you have been knowing, loving, and accepting yourself. Okay? And so that's what we really need to contemplate here from December 20th to about the 26th is, do I love myself? And especially as we're moving through Christmas time over these next 6 days from the 20th to the 26th, I think stirs up a lot of these feelings of, am I loving or am I lovable? That's in the G center. That's a lot of that, the shadows there, whether it's defined or undefined. It's, do I love myself as I am, or am I lovable? And I think this is also the shadow side of this is what tends to bring about a lot of sadness at this time of year, is people wrestling with this energy of, do I love myself? Am I lovable? Can I find evidence of lovability in my life right now? And I challenge you to go deep with these questions, because you are lovable. I believe that you're here and you are a part of the divine. You are part of the love. Another thing you can ask yourself is, well, okay, if I haven't been that loving to myself, what can I do to deepen this loving or this love and acceptance and understanding of myself? Since we're also talking about taking responsibility for your own creations in life and what you have brought forth so far as a effect of a level of self-love you've had, are there situations in your life right now that are a result of you maybe not either loving yourself completely or understanding yourself or living authentically of yourself? And if so, how do you want to change that? And this can get, I think, triggered a lot at the holidays. Remember, this is the energy of the sun that's affecting all of us. We're all questioning this moment or questioning this lovability in this time around Christmas time. And that's why I think people are so raw, is everybody is kind of feeling that same energy. And so as you interact with others throughout the holidays, maybe take that into consideration as well, that this person in front of you who may not be acting in the best way, or maybe seem a little bit stressed or whatever, they're dealing with the influence of the same energy that you are. And so maybe you can remind yourself of that and show a little compassion. And maybe if it's someone you do love and you see that they're struggling, make sure they know that you love them, because again, they're questioning this as well. So those are some things to contemplate: is, are you being authentic? Are you really accepting yourself, warts and all, and loving yourself? Okay. So moving on. On December 26th, as I said, the sun is going to move into gate 58, the gate of joy. Gate 58 is located in the root center, and it's reaching up towards the spleen. It's part of that channel 1858. Gate 58, I said, is the gate of joy. And really across the board, I mean, quantum human design is joy. Traditional human design is joy of life. The I Ching is joy. It's very much about joy, in case you didn't get that. Now, this is about being in joy, of course, of finding joy. But really, since it's from the root center, moving up through the spleen, through this channel, that's all about, really, this is a creative energy. So it is the joy of mastery, really. It's about finding joy and what it is that you want to create, something that makes you joyful, something that you really want to bring forth into the world because of that joy, because of how it makes you feel. And loving this thing, when I say it's about mastery, it's about loving this maybe skill or whatever it is that you want to bring forth, loving it so much that you're willing to keep refining it and making it better. It's about repetition, this energy here that moves through up to the throat, because it's going through the spleen up to the throat. And in the completion of that energy cycle is all about, really, it's the person, the athlete, the virtuoso, the master craftsman. It's about really refining and getting better and better and better, becoming masterful at something. But it all starts with joy, which we did do a previous episode about the timing of things and how to influence timing by working through these gates in the root center. And this is obviously one we talked about, which is bringing forth things that bring you joy. And so it's really about fulfilling your potential as well, because what brings you joy is usually something that you are coded to do. That's my belief. I think we all know what it feels like, the slog of not having joy in the work that we do. We know that. So this is about taking the time to think and contemplate, what does bring me joy? What in my life brings me the deepest and greatest joy? And we're really talking about learning to embrace this joyful energy as a very important part of your creative power. It's about following your heart and what brings you joy without feeling guilty about it, knowing that it's not selfish to bring about things into this world that bring you joy, because, again, it's part of your energy and it's what you're encoded to do. That is the gate 58 if you have it present. So whether or not you have this gate activated in your chart, it is going to be activated right now for everyone on the entire planet. This is that kind of high that we still feel around the holiday season, the holiday joy, right? And so harnessing this energy here that you have the ability to tap into, as I said, contemplate those things about what really brings you joy. What do you want to do to bring more joy into your life? This is the time to think about that, to explore that, and to think about, how can I create more joy in my life? And if you're not feeling particularly joyful now, what's keeping you from feeling that joy? What is it that's keeping you from creating the things you want? What's keeping you from fulfilling your potential or your talent? Because this is about talent. This is about refining your natural talents and what you want to bring and express in the world, your creative force. So contemplate those things. And really, remember, it moves through the spleen here. Is it fear that's holding you back? Do you get that joyful feeling about what it is you want to bring into the world, but fear gets in the way, which it literally does because gate 58 goes up to gate 18 in the spleen, which has all those instinctive primal fears in them. And the fear that is connected with this is the fear of not getting it right, of not being good enough to bring this into the world, that it won't be perfect, right? And I know, especially as women, we suffer from this so much of worried about perfection because let's face it, we're not crazy to think that. There's been a lot of pressure put on us throughout the, millennia of women having to be quote unquote perfect. You know what I'm talking about. I don't need to derail myself on that argument, but this is the fear that gets in the way. So what are you afraid of? What is it that's holding you back? And how can you use this time right now to tap into that joy and really explore what it is that brings you joy and what you want to bring into the world and what you want to share with the world? Now's the time to tap into that energy. Okay, so this brings us to New Year's Eve, December 31st. And this one is always so interesting to me because this is gate 38 is where we're moving into on December 31st. And again, remember, this energy is always present this time of year. And gate 38 in the traditional human design is the fighter. It's the gate of opposition. In the Qing, it's opposition. The fighter. In quantum human design, she calls it the visionary. So this energy is all about, again, this is a creative force energy that's coming from the root center, going through the spleen. It's about having a vision of what is worth fighting for. It's really knowing through your own experiences, what is it that you are willing to fight for and to know what has meaning? What are you willing to fight for and commit to? What's important to you? What have you been through in the past year or the past couple years as you're looking back? Remember, this is that New Year's Eve. This is why we all feel this, looking back energy. What is worth it to you? Do you have a dream that's worth sharing with the world? Are you willing to commit to it and fight for it? And remember, anything that we've been through, any struggles that we've had, which this is in that channel of struggle, any struggles that we've had are challenges in life. We don't learn through everything going our way. Let's face it. When we learn to walk, it's because we keep falling down and we have to keep getting back up. You watch a child, a toddler, as they explore their world and they learn, it is a struggle. They get frustrated. We all do. But then when they finally, commit to it, it's worth it to them. They take everything that they've learned in their struggle, in their challenges, and they then succeed. And that's what life shows us over and over again is the places that we've had to struggle are the places that bring forth transformation in our lives. It's the places where we really grow and evolve, right? And so what is it that you've been experiencing or gone through that you are willing to commit to and fight for if it's really important for you? This is what you want to be contemplating at the end of the year. And I think it's also interesting that they call this gate the gate of the fighter. It is this really fiery energy of, and it's in the root center, the gate energy, but biologically speaking, it's associated with the adrenal glands. And just think of that energy on New Year's Eve. It can be very full. I don't know what the word is, because it's not always aggressive. There's a lot of excitement in the air. There's a lot of people, well, let's face it, New Year's Eve, there's a lot of drinking. It can bring out a lot of maybe bad behaviors amongst people that gives them this fighting energy. They feel that opposition against each other. And so honestly, I don't like going out anymore for New Year's Eve. I used to do that. I would rather just stay home where it's safe. We do have a practice in my family of writing ourselves little kind of letters, or what we intend to, let me rephrase that. We write a letter to ourselves in a way, it doesn't have to be long, that we will open up on the next year. And I'll have to admit, we've gotten a little scattered the last couple of years. We haven't done it, but I think we'll do that again this year. Something that will be opened on the next New Year's Eve, which I think is fun. So as you're experiencing that energy at the end of the year, you might feel this kind of fighting, opposing energy, but it's really just challenging you to look back, see what's worth fighting for, see what it is, your dream, your vision, whatever it is you want to bring forth. Is this something that you're really willing to commit to? And it may not always be easy, but it will be worth it. Trust me. Okay, so lastly, we're going to go into January just for this last little bit here. And on January 6th, we are going to be moving into gate 54, which is in traditional human design, the gate of drive. And in the I Ching, it's called the marrying maiden. So this is also a root center gate. And they also refer to this gate at times, it says drive, but also kind of ambition. And this is a starting energy. So it makes sense at the beginning of the year, calendar year that we're used to, this feeling of wanting to get things started. This is the gate 54 that is at play here. However, this is also about being prepared. So it's interesting, this in the I Ching, it talks about the marrying maiden, but really it's a really misogynistic culture back then. Sorry, I don't mean to offend anybody, but this is really about in Chinese culture, there were a man could have more than one wife, or a second wife, or whatever you want to call it. And it was about the second wife kind of keeping a low profile, doing her best work, and being behind the scenes, just kind of doing the best that she can to support the family unit without making waves. And I hate even talking about this because I'm not telling you to do that. I'm just giving you an understanding of how this all plays into this whole getting started and being prepared. Because then when the recognition comes for that second wife, she hopes to be elevated to a place in the family of more recognition and prestige and more power. That's what that I Ching energy is about. So translating to modern life, it's about being prepared. It's about laying the foundations and laying the groundwork so that when the time is right, when you are recognized, or however you want to put that, you are prepared. You are ready to go and get into action. And so that's what we're talking about here is, are you available and ready for when divine inspiration, or when, even in creative terms, when the muse decides to tap you on the shoulder? Are you ready? Is there any loose ends you need to tie up? Is there anything that you're carrying forward from last year that, again, like you need to handle and deal with? Is there anything, as you're looking forward into 2023 and the dreams that you have and the intentions that you have, is there anything that you need to do in order to prepare yourself for the next step of your dream, of whatever inspiration comes your way? Okay? Because this is root center energy. And if you remember, the root center operates in pulses. It's not really predictable when the time is going to come, but it will come. Okay. And so the sun being in this gate at this time is asking all of us to contemplate these things, to be ready. It's giving us the energy to look back at these things and be in this space and know what it is we need to do in order to best move forward. And so if we're to take a step back and look at what all these gates are reminding us or asking us to do the next 2 weeks or so, is really focus on the level of love and acceptance you have for yourself. What is it that you can do to help deepen and strengthen that love for yourself? And also, another reminder gently that everybody's experiencing this right now. So finding that compassion for others. Also, what is it that brings you joy? Have you really cultivated a sense of joy? And are you willing to tap into that joy as a creative power in your life? What is it you're willing to commit to as you move forward towards the end of the year and that fighter energy? What has your struggles taught you? What is it you're willing to fight for? Maybe even struggle a little bit more through because it's worth it, because it's something that you know that you want to bring into the world. It's a transformation you want to see within yourself. What are you willing to commit to? And then preparing yourself for what's to come, being prepared, tying up loose ends, laying the foundation, putting your best foot forward, always thinking about how you can contribute and serve, not for your own ambition, but as a way to lay the foundation and to be prepared for when the time is right to put all this into action. That's kind of what's happening here at the end of this year. And so it's not just about throwing away 2022 and moving into 2023. Okay. Just like clean slate, like it never happened. That's not how it works. You really do have to contemplate these things, and it will set you up in such a much more grounded and centered place for 2023. So I'm going to wrap this up here today. And I just want to, as I look back on my 2022, I want to take a moment to really thank each and every one of you for listening, because this has been a dream of mine, is to bring forth a podcast about human design and beyond. I say beyond because it is about human design, and I love teaching about human design, but it's also really everything that I have learned, all the struggles I have been through, everything that I have experienced, things that have helped me grow and transform. It's about bringing all of that to you. Human design is the framework, is the focus of it, but really it's the all of me that I have to bring to you in this format. And I'm just so grateful to be able to do that. And I want to continue to do that. And I hope that you also want to come along with me and Haley and all my guests to come in 2023 as we all really commit to learning about ourselves, understanding ourselves, loving ourselves, and what it is we're here to do to bring forth in the world, because the world needs each and every one of you right now. You're full, joyful, loving, and committed self to bringing forth your best version of yourself for the world, because it really is important, because each one of you are special. And I want to be there to help support you as you do this. So thank you so much. And one thing I want to mention, it's in the show notes along this line of how I can help you. As you know, I do chart readings, whether it's an individual reading or a composite reading, relationship reading. You can find the links to that in the show notes. I love helping people get an understanding of their own chart. And if that's not something right now that you want to do, is the full reading, I also have a new offer through an app called Volley, which is a asynchronous messaging app, meaning kind of like if you're familiar with Voxer or some of these other things where we can talk back and forth. But Volley's a really neat platform because it's largely video, so we can actually talk to each other in a asynchronous way, depending on whatever time zone you're in. You can ask me a question. I can answer you. We can see each other face to face. We can share. And I am playing around with that right now. And so I just have one offer there on Volley. It's a quick 10 minutes of my time, your time together, to either ask me a question specifically about your design or human design in general. And I can answer you with your specific question. Because sometimes if you are kind of exploring this on your own, you get stuck sometimes in certain areas and you might need someone else's eye on it. You're not really looking for a full reading at this point, although I highly suggest one if you've never had one. And it really is a way to just get your question answered as quickly as you can. So just check that out if you're interested. I would love to help you. And I plan on having lots more things to bring you in 2023. Lots more guests and trainings. I'm really working on those too, of some self-paced trainings and possibly even a membership coming up in 2023. So if you're interested in any of that, you can also get on my email list and be one of the first to know when that's happening. And also when you're on my email list, I like to get to know you, and you can also probably help me craft some of these offerings, because I will be asking my list about that as well as what it is you need in order for me to help you. So, okay, I'm going to wrap this up now for real. And I hope everyone has a very, 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 very happy holidays and a happy new year. And I can't wait to get back here with you in 2023. So love you all. Take care. Bye for now. You made it all the way to the end of today's episode, so you must have liked what you heard. If you did, make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode, and perhaps leave us a good review. And if you know someone who wants to dig into all things human design with us, make sure you share the Human Design Hive podcast with them. We'd really appreciate it. Thanks for listening. Catch you in the next episode.